Hello and welcome along to the Festive Tech Calendar 2022. This series has been running for a number of days now, and welcome to day 12, the 12th day of Microsoft Viva. I am joined today with Laurent. How are you doing, Laurent? Are you okay?
Yeah, very fine. Thank you. Thank you, Paul.
Good. So myself and Laurent are going to be running through an insight of the Microsoft Viva roadmap and talking about the latest updates that have happened very recently, but then also what we've got to look forward to next year within Microsoft Viva. Quick introduction for myself. So my name is Paul Dredge. I am head of technical for a company called Hable here in the UK. I'm also a Microsoft MVP and in my second year of being an MVP. Laurent, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Paul. So my name is Laurent Carlier, and I am a Microsoft 365 consultant based in France. I work for the company called Mocha, and I work daily with companies and educational institutions, helping them building their digital transformation on Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Viva, and also Microsoft 365 platform tools. And I'm also an MVP for the third year in a row. And we are both members of Viva Explorers.
Brilliant. Okay, so before we go into some of the updates and so on, I just wanted to touch on the Viva platform. As you know, joining this session, you may be using Microsoft Viva and some of the applications that are part of the platform, but we just wanted to highlight some of those today. So Microsoft looking at Viva in a different way now around connections, insights, purpose, and growth. So as you can see in our connection areas, we've got Viva Engage for that way of communicating and connecting with people, and Viva Amplify, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And then for our insights around improving productivity and well-being, we have Viva Insights and Viva Pulse. And then for purpose reasons of working in your team and trying to achieve your organizational goals, we have Viva Goals. And to help that growth of knowledge within your organization and helping people learn and succeed, we have the use of Viva Topics and Viva Learning. Viva Connections is a great tool within the Viva platform that surfaces all this into a nice, easy to access space within Microsoft Teams. And then outside of this area, we have Viva Sales, which again, we'll be talking to you today about. So let's just go into the Microsoft Viva roadmap. And Laurent, you wanted to share some information around this, didn't you?
Yeah, actually today I was very curious about the Microsoft Viva roadmap, and I checked the Microsoft 365 roadmap, and I saw that since the beginning of Microsoft Viva, we had 102 features. So this is very huge, 102 features, and Microsoft Viva is maybe 1 year old, I think, or 2 year old. So 102 features within 1 year. Damn, this is huge.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because lots of people interpret Microsoft products in different ways, but Viva seems to be becoming that workplace OS. It's almost surfacing lots of things around Microsoft Teams that helps you, do more in your organization away from communicating and collaborating. It's bringing that workforce experience together. So just looking at the roadmap, we'll be touching on a few of these, but just looking at the roadmap of from November until June 2023, we can see there's a few updates that are highlighted in this roadmap, but there's a lot more coming, or a lot more that has come recently from the Viva platform. And this is one of the funny things. When you're trying to find out, what's new in the world of Microsoft, it's always a challenge to go out there and try and look. You've got lots of resources. You have the Microsoft roadmap you can go and look at. You have the message center within Microsoft 365. You have the community blogs from Microsoft themselves that have usual monthly roundups. And then you have a lot of other stuff outside of that's talked about and released. So trying to bring all this together, hopefully me and Laurent have managed to do that today, where we've brought in the latest updates, the latest news around the Viva platform.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one we wanted to talk about then is Viva Connections. So Viva Connections, it is, for myself, is probably one of the most used elements of Microsoft Viva. Working in the Microsoft world of things, I see a lot of demand around this of organizations trying to modernize it and change the way they communicate. So some of the new features coming out very soon, it is surfacing some different information within those Viva dashboards. So we have our Viva topic and Viva learning cards that will be able to be surfaced in there. Viva Engage and Yammer content is going to be added to the newsfeed, to the Viva newsfeed. You're going to be able to integrate third-party apps into your dashboard as well. So currently there are ways of bringing in third-party apps of links or for adaptive cards, but they're going to be able to surface some of these actual applications that are going to integrate into your Microsoft 365 environment and allow you to work it with those third-party apps, which will sit outside of your 365, but it will join them up and integrate them into this. And then the last one, Laurent, I think I'll hand over to you to talk about. So the Viva Home app, which is very interesting.
Yeah, actually, yeah, very interesting. The Microsoft Viva Home app. But before that, I just want to go back to the previous slide. Thank you, Paul. The Viva topic cards coming to the Viva connection dashboard. Actually, with the new Viva topics cards, you have two different kind of cards. You have the Discover card to view topics for people who could be interested. And you have also the Share card to reach people like knowledge management. And what is good with that is this is based on the AI, and the AI will look at your interest, it will look at your current project, and will also look at your expertise. So that is good to understand, and this is also the same thing for the learning card. The Viva learning card inside the dashboard will tell you what you have to do, the overdue assignment that you have to do. And what is good with that is that when a user opens the Microsoft Teams, then they will get directly to the Viva connection. And Viva connection is basically what you said, Paul, the central place, the first central place to get all the information. And by seeing the topic and learning card and also the intranet then it is good for a user. Like every morning, okay, I have to do this. Okay, I see that someone is working on that project. So I think this is good to understand, and this is good to see what's coming up.
It's strange, you know, rewind a few years ago. Yeah, probably 4 or 5 years ago, everyone's first place for work was Outlook.
Yeah, exactly.
First application you open was Outlook. You know, they'd probably open up their internet browser and go to their intranet as well, their Internet Explorer or other ones that are available at those times. And then, you know, what Microsoft's trying to do is, you know, Teams is now your first application users are opening. When they're starting up their devices, Teams is what they're going into first, and they start working. So surfacing some of this information, like I say, is bringing it to the forefront of where people work day in, day out, and gives them that easy access. Something I noticed that isn't coming or hasn't been announced, let's say, on the roadmap is one of the biggest bugbears for me around Viva Connections. And you know, if Microsoft are out there listening to this, you know, please give us this. It's notifications, and I think that's just every time customers and people I work with, you know, so someone posts a new news article, is it going to notify me in Teams? I'm like, no, it's not. Unfortunately, not. But hopefully, let's see if 2023 will bring that to us.
Yeah, definitely. Hope Microsoft will hear you.
So just going on to Viva Home, did you want to share a little bit of information around that, Laurent?
Yeah, the Microsoft Home, actually, it was a big surprise for me. We saw this on the iNight. And the way I'm seeing that is definitely it will empower the central hub, like I mentioned just before. But on the other way, the question is, what about the current intranet, right, Paul?
Yes, exactly that. It is. We're seeing out there. Is this going to replace your Viva connections? And I think the answer is no. It's not going to replace that. But what it's going to do, from what I've seen, is it's going to surface information from your intranet and your Viva connections, but also from other spaces within within the Viva content that you get out there. So from your engage, your learning, your insights, which means your dashboard won't get so clogged down with lots of these informations that surface to try and bring that in one space. So you can focus your dashboards in Viva Connections on the bits that's important, because your Viva home is going to play. But it'll be interesting to see how these two run alongside each other, and how they work.
Yeah, definitely it will come with a big intranet revolution for all organizations.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
So that's wrapped up around Viva Connections. So we're going to move on to Viva Insights, and looking at the Microsoft Insights side of things. So there's a few new features that have come out recently. The new virtual commute, for me, was a bit of a surprise. Probably about a couple of weeks ago now, I saw it in my tenant. It notifies me every day it's time to start your virtual commute, and me being me, sometimes click on it, sometimes ignore it, depends how busy I am in my day. But then it gave me this new experience where it started becoming more useful, because when you've done the virtual commute for, you click a few buttons, how are you feeling about your day, have you wrapped up this, and so on. It just sort of became a bit more noise for me. But now it's got that new UI and surfaces that information. I found myself actually making more use of the virtual commute. I don't know about yourself, Laurent.
Yeah, definitely. I'm using daily the virtual commute. I was like you at the first. It was like, okay, I'm receiving that notification. I don't want to see that notification. But once it got more and more features, now I'm really using it daily. And I think this is very good. Actually, when I end my day, then I can see, okay, what's about tomorrow? What kind of meeting I have? What task I have to do, etc., etc. So this is good, actually.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the new experience, and it's similar with the ready to focus. That focus time that Viva nicely books into your calendar in those spaces, if you do get those spaces. But again, it just sort of, for me, the focus time became a bit of a nuisance more than anything else, because it put you into do not disturb mode, and sometimes you miss those notifications because you're trying to focus. But what's new about it? This new experience it gives you more notifications around when to have those breaks, when to stop. So if you do use that focus time, you do getting immersed into things. You're not ending your focus time and you think, oh, I feel more drained than before. It's giving you those alerts. So have a 5-minute break, meditate, and so on. So again, another nice little feature Microsoft are putting into there.
Yeah, definitely. And you have the lunch break right now, and this is good. Actually, you can set up directly in Viva Insight. You don't want to be disturbed during lunch break, and this is good. Actually, I found it last week on my tenant, and I set up this, and really, you have to try that feature.
Yeah, I've not seen that one. I'll have to keep an eye out, because not so much anymore, but you used to go for a stage of you'd put your lunch break in, but you'd always get booked in with a meeting over the top. So definitely have to check that one out. One of the other things then is around praise. I heavily use praise in work, because I think it's a great way to highlight what people are doing in your organization, and so on. I think it's a really nice little thing to do, is use that praise option. One thing I haven't really done is sent praise to people directly rather than in a Teams channel, through the chat. Because the thing for me is it's gone a bit unnoticed. If you send praise for a chat, what I like about the praise feature is that it's alerting everyone that, oh wow, this person's done something great, and so on. But now the new feature around it, where you can actually alert people through the chat, but you can also share some of that praise broader and so on, and some of the new options around praise in there. I think again, another nice little touch on updating something that's used quite often to make it even better.
Yeah, definitely. But actually, yeah, praise is good, but sometimes if you look at the company culture, it's kind of hard to praise someone. I know in USA, this is common. I don't know about you in UK, Paul, but in France, we have to push people to praise another people. And actually, I don't understand why these people do not have the time to do this. Because when you praise someone, it has a big, big effect on the people who receive the praise. And it should be your daily task to praise someone, because if you want to empower your team, if you want to work better with your team, praise definitely is part of it. Don't you think, Paul?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, it motivates people. If they're doing a good job, it's always great to reward those people by acknowledging they're doing a good job. And I think that's why I like to use it quite often with team. Not too much, so it just becomes, oh, here he is doing his praise again. At the right times, the right triggers need to be used. So it's still effective. But it's a great way to highlight what people are doing well in your organization, in your teams, and across the organization as well. One of the other things is that I found really useful, and I haven't tried this myself, but reading about this in the last few days around creating focus plans for your actual team. And I thought this is great because, although you try and encourage people to have focus time, everyone's busy. And I think people are busier more than ever in the place of work. So actually being able to make people, do that focus time as a team as well, and helping each other out. I think for me, that's another good move from Microsoft in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely. I never tried the focus plan, but I should try, definitely. Yeah.
Go, Laurent. You go, mate.
Yeah.
You go.
And we have two last features coming to Microsoft Insight. The first one is the most awaiting schedule sent in Teams chat. I'm pretty sure you know the one in Outlook, because the one in Outlook is already on. And what is the suggestion? Actually, if you set up your working hours properly in your tenant, if you want to, for example, send an email before working hours or send an email after working hours, then you will get a message directly from Insight telling you that it's better to schedule your message and send to the person during working hours. And what is coming is the same thing, but for Teams. And actually, this is good because, as you said, Paul, first, people work a lot with Outlook. And now when we talk about internal communication, people prefer doing works inside Teams. So it is good to see the schedule send suggestion coming in Teams chat.
Yes, it's definitely something I'll be making use of, especially people work at different times. Well, we work in a world where we try and encourage flexible working. So I think it's a great feature, because if you send a message out when you think it's part of your working day, the other person might not work those hours. But then it drags them to answer, because the message comes in, people feel obliged to answer even when they're not working.
So I think and you got the notification.
Yes, exactly that. If something pings, you want to look at that.
Yeah, definitely. And the second one is the meeting category insight coming to the digest email. I don't know if you are familiar with that, but this is also a good feature inside Microsoft Insight. When you set up a meeting, you can categorize a meeting. And with these new features coming, it will give you the summary of meeting category, highlighting 3 categories over the last 4 weeks where you spend most of your time. So this is good if you want to see, okay, what kind of meeting I'm spending most of the time and what kind of meeting I'm spending less of the time. And if you want to rebalance the meeting categories, this feature maybe will help you.
So if we fly over to Microsoft Learning, then I struggled a little bit to find some of the latest updates around this, because it came out that there's a bunch of stuff that rolled out with Viva Learning early on. I think more and more organizations are starting to make use of this. But there's not been big announcements from Microsoft in the coming months. Ignite, there was a few. So learning paths is a good one. So you can create those learning paths and you get modules around that. And learning collections as well was one that's coming, where you can create those collections of different learning around same topics or same tasks. So it's a good way to build like a learning plan, really, isn't it? For using learning paths and learning collections. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely. Collection, I really appreciate that one, because collection, you can set up as a user your own collection. So this is good. If you have the proper licensing for Viva Learning, you can have a different kind of provider, the learning provider. And for example, if you are trying to learn a new thing, maybe you will find thematic on the first provider, and for the second provider you will find the same thematic. So you can, like you do on the browser, if you like favorite on the browser. So this is good for collection as an user, but you can also use collection if you are a manager. And this is very linked to the learning path. If you are a manager and if you want to share your collection with your team, then you will be able to do it. So learning collection, definitely you have to see it, because you have two ways to do it, as an individual and as a manager.
And then there's a new homepage coming to mobile. I mean, I'll be 100% honest here. I've not accessed Viva Learning through the mobile experience at all, or attempted to, but there's going to be a new up-to-date homepage that makes it easier to flow when working on a mobile device.
Yeah.
There's going to be new admin experiences. So in that back end of Viva Learning, you'll be able to access some new experiences through the admin. When I was looking, you can create different programs, and one of the things that I liked, what I saw, was around permissions. So you can set permissions to certain things. So let's say a certain group of users have licensing or membership to a third-party learning software out there that's integrated into Viva Learning. Obviously, not everyone might have that access. So through that permissions model, you can disable some of that for some users and enable it for others. Whereas what we've got right now, it's either on or off for all. And then when some people click onto it, so they might find a course where, oh, that looks really good, click onto it, and they haven't got a subscription or a membership, then it throws out, oh, you must subscribe, and can be annoying for organizations and people in organizations.
Yeah.
Whereas being able to set that permission level, they won't see that, so then you're not trying to force them into or shining something nice to them and be like, oh no, you can't have that actually, but these people can. So it's quite a nice way.
Yeah.
And we sort of touched this earlier, so it's the integration of Viva Learning into Viva Connection, so bringing those elements through the dashboard, as Laurent spoke about earlier. And then another thing is integrating it with your daily briefing email. So some of that learning will be surfaced within there. So when you're getting the emails through, there'll be bits in there about why you're going to look at this learning course or this topic that might be relevant to you.
Exactly.
If we move on to Viva Topics, this one seems very busy, I think, in the world of updates, Viva Topics. And it's probably because Viva Topics has been out for a while now, but there's a lot of features that have been talked about by Microsoft that haven't been released yet or aren't there yet. So now they're starting to come, aren't they, Laurent? So there's quite a few updates around Viva Topics.
Yeah, definitely. The topics in briefing email is like we mentioned just before, in a briefing email for the Viva Learning. So it's another way to get directly in topics. The different type of topics cards are very good. Actually, it was a huge demand from customers. If they want to tag the topic cards, for example, this card is for a project, or this card is for an expertise. So you will be able to tag a specific tag on topics cards. So that will be good. And that topic cards will display on the profile cards. This is also very good. As we know, when we first work in a company, we will have to discover who is that guy, who is that person, and that person, what kind of project she's working on, and what kind of expertise he has. And the profile card is definitely the way, the first way you can find that information. So the thing that the topics cards will be displayed on profile card is very good. And then what is coming, and this is also very good, I'm really awaiting to test it, is the topics inside the Outlook. Actually, this is good. What is that kind of features? When you will open a mail, for example, topic will be able to detect if there is a topic mentioned inside that mail. And if it is the case, then the user will be able to open a specific panel inside the Outlook. And when the person will click on the panel, then she will or he will access directly to the topic card. So this is good, actually, if you want to find directly the information from different kind of sources.
Yeah, so yeah, topics for me is something that gets overlooked quite a bit by organizations. But what you explained there about, clicking on a person's profile card and seeing what topics they're associated to and things like that for a new person coming to an organization, especially in the hybrid world we're in now.
Yeah.
It's a quick way, isn't it, of getting to understand some of those acronyms and those certain projects that happen, or those bits of information, who are the people that look after that. It's a great insight into things.
Yeah, definitely.
So if we move on then, so we've talked about like the four main Viva applications that were first part of Viva, and as we said, it's grown massively, the features that are coming out in Viva. One of the other applications that joined the family early this year was Viva Goals. That was Ali.io, which I've seen. It's had a bit of an explosion on the market for me. Organizations are jumping on this and wanting to understand it, and it's really brought forward that OKR and discussions around that within organizations, because it's sort of surfaced it, and bringing it into 365 now is a great tool that people are out there starting to use. Just a couple of things around the updates then. We've got the new admin capabilities, and a part of that is integration. So you're able to integrate Viva Goals into third-party applications. I did have a look at the list earlier on today, this morning, and there's a lot of applications in that list that it can now integrate with. So being able to produce some of that, I mean, some of the things that I was reading about was it integrates with things like Google Sheets and Slack, and I thought, wow, Microsoft, this is good. You're starting to get those applications that are outside the normal Microsoft world of things, and bringing that integration into place. And Laurent, did you want to talk a little bit about the planner integrations as well?
Yeah, definitely. The planner integration was also a very awaiting features. I did some workshop on Viva Goals for customers, and they really appreciate the way how Viva Goals is setting the sense of working. That's the real point. What is the meaning of that task? That is the real question. As an user, why my manager asked me to do that task? Why this task is linked with the whole strategy of the organization? And Viva Goals is good for that, because it is based on OKR and not on KPI. So this is good to understand. And once I have done that workshop with customers, and the first reaction of customers, okay, this is good, and I can see my objectives and I can see the result key. So how can I link with to do and planner. So that was the first reaction. How can I link with my current tools? And yeah, I told them that I know it's coming. It's not on the roadmap, but it will come. And then I think I saw this yesterday or 2 days ago. I saw finally on the roadmap, okay, planner integration is coming. So definitely you have to check that features.
Yeah, again, it's one of those things where you set those objectives within Viva goals, but again, there's not been that integration into other parts. So bringing that into planner, because then you can start getting alerts around your tasks and when they're due and so on. You can even bring in other people as well, then, can't you, to manage that and work along to achieve those OKRs. Good move, Microsoft.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Viva Sales. So this was announced earlier on in the year, and it caused a bit of a ripple, didn't it, Viva Sales? Because when it was first announced, there wasn't an awful lot of information out there, but people started saying, "Was this going to replace Dynamics? Is it a new CRM that Microsoft have brought out?" When in fact it isn't that. It's a way of interlinking and surfacing information across the whole of Microsoft 365, and when you see the power of what Viva Sales can do, it's really interesting to get that information. And Microsoft got their communications and videos around this out there, but it's giving salespeople back the time to sell. And I think there's a stat I read that I think something like a third of a salesperson's time is only spent with their customers, and the rest of the time is spent documenting, writing, adding information, and so on. If we can give salespeople more time with customers, then they'll sell more. Simple as that. And this is what this application does. I mean, Laurent, you've had a bit of experience with this, haven't you?
Yeah. Also, I did some workshop for customers on Microsoft Viva Sales. So yeah, Viva Sales, definitely, if you are a salesperson, you will like it, because it will give you some times to work, on prospect, etc. It captures directly from Outlook, and we know that salesperson will receive a lot of mail from customers. And then if you plug in the Viva Sales directly inside Outlook, you can capture. It can be done automatically, or you can do it manually. So it will be good for a salesperson to get the name of the person, the phone numbers, the companies, the position, etc., and it will send it directly to your CRM. Let's imagine that you have Dynamics 365, so you don't have to open the Dynamics 365 windows. You can do it directly inside Outlook and Viva Sales. So this is good, actually. And once you have done this, the next time you receive the mail from these customers, you will have the Viva Sales panel. You can have a plugin on Viva Sales inside Outlook, and you will open that panel. And that panel will give you all the information. That means the recent activities, how many mails you send to that customers. Did you schedule a meeting with that customers? Do you have an opportunity with that customers? And once you have that information, you can schedule, for example, a meeting with that customers, and the meeting will be on Teams. And what is good with Viva Sales is that Viva Sales will give you, after the meeting, it is called the meeting recap. And this is good, actually, because you will have all the transcription of the meeting. So for a salesperson, you don't have to take notes during the meeting because you have the transcription. So it will give you really some time to do it. And then the recap meeting will divide the transcription into chapters. Let's say that at first you talk about the proposition, and then after you talk about the price. And then the customer was not happy about the price, and he asked you to send you another proposition. So you will have that chapters. So that is good, actually. And it works very fine in English. And I tried it in French, and it was not good. So yeah, I'm really waiting to have the fully features in another language than English.
And I'm sure Microsoft will have that out there very, very
Yeah,
quickly. But it's just great, isn't it? It's just that good example of how AI is helping people save time, isn't it? You know, that
yeah,
meeting recap where it highlights where people have said certain things.
yeah.
It's so you don't have to watch the whole meeting back or scroll through lots of text. It highlights those timestamps throughout that meeting of what
Yeah.
it is. And there's some updates coming, isn't there, Laurent, around Viva Sales as well?
Yeah, yeah. The two actually, there are more updates coming in Microsoft Viva Sales, but I selected those tools because those tools are very good. The first one is email intelligence. What is email intelligence? It is based on AI, and the actually what it will give you as a seller. Once you receive a mail from customers, it will extract information from mails. And what kind of information? Like, for example, the product mentioned, if the customer mentioned you, and if there was some question from customers. So this is good, actually. You don't have to read anymore the mail because you will have this email intelligence. So I'm really waiting to test it. And you have also the insight on people's cards. That is good, actually. And what is the insight on people's card? Let's say that I received a mail from Alberto Burgos, and if I have already an action with Alberto Burgos, once I mouse over the bubble, Alberto Burgos, then it will give me some insight. For example, um, it has been 30 days since the last contact with Alberto Burgos. So I know that, okay, I have to do something because it's 30 days. Or if Alberto Burgos asks you to send you another proposition, then you will have this insight, like a task. Did you send the proposition? So that is good. We have definitely to track this.
Again, it's just giving salespeople that time back, isn't it? Then
Yeah.
yeah, so something to talk about is it integrates with CRM systems, isn't it? So I know it's integrating with
Yeah.
Dynamics. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's other CRM systems out there, so it will populate that information directly in there
Yeah.
without the need of copy and pasting, writing things up, and so on. So, you know, I'm excited to see where this goes with Viva Sales.
Yeah, definitely.
Viva Engage again was released earlier this year. Bit of a rebrand around Yammer, really, but giving us a bit more functionality and so on. It links lovely with Viva Connections, but Viva Engage, is surfacing that information that we've got through Yammer communities and so on in there, and bringing it forward. But there's some new parts of it coming out. One of them is around leadership tools and giving leadership a space. You see on the screen there, leadership corner, a space to engage with employees across the organization. And there's a few other little ones. So I'm still not sold on this one, but the storyline and stories. I can see Microsoft's angle here with stories because very, very popular in other elements outside of 365. So social media is very big on stories where you can post there's quick clips about yourself and so on that you share with your friends. But I'm still not quite sure where that fits in the workplace. Maybe for leadership, if there's a certain day or event or something like that, and they want to push that information out to people. But just for me, Joe in finance, I'm not sure if I want to see a story of what Joe in finance is doing throughout her day when she's taking a picture of her lunch or a cup of tea or whatever it may be, or Dave in HR or whatever it may be. I'm just not brought on that. I know it's bringing the social aspect to it and so on, but I'm still not sure on stories myself.
Yeah, this is a big question, actually. But the way we can see stories is that before Engage coming, the way people can interact with another person inside Yammer was inside a community, right? You have to belong to a community, and then inside that community, you can post a different kind of message. You can post pictures, etc., etc. But what about if you want to post something that is outside a community, right? When you try to do it on Yammer, it can be difficult, and that's why Viva Engage and Story can be the solution to that kind of question. That's the way I can see the meaning of stories inside Engage.
Yeah, I could see the use of it if it's used properly. I don't know. I'm sure we'll see what happens when it starts getting used across the organisation. I'm sure there'll be lots of pet pictures and people working from home over their lunch and so on, which isn't a bad thing in the modern world of hybrid working. But
exactly,
we'll see.
Yeah.
So another element which Microsoft have really branded as a new aspect of Viva is Viva Answers, and being able to post those FAQs and ask those questions and so on like that. Obviously, this is going to be an element of Viva Engage and part of Viva Engage. But again, I think this is a great move for that social aspect of working in hybrid world. I mean, Laurent, have you come across much of this?
Yeah, actually, Answer also can be the solution for people looking for information. One more time, we are in a hybrid work. We are not all day in face of the person. We cannot knock on these people doors to ask questions. And Answer, what is good with Answer is that this is a central place to ask a question and find answer, regardless of the department you are working for. And actually, I think this is very good, because if you are working in teams, you belong to a teams, right? Or you belong to different kind of teams. What about if your question has no link with the thematic of your teams? Where will you post your question? You can post your question inside Yammer, but you have to have a community for that. So what is the other way to do it? And if you do not know the people who could answer your question, then Answer can be the real place, because you can post your question and people will see your question. And if they find your question very interesting, then they will vote your question. So it is kind of a big library of question inside an organization. So that is good. If you can imagine that, for example, the next year, a new person is coming to your organization and she has many questions, or he has many questions, then he will go directly to Answer and type directly, okay, is that kind of question has been already asked? So maybe they will find the answer inside that module.
What I like about this is that it's taking some of the noise out of teams as well. I know lots of organizations, they have big team channels that maybe organization wide or departmental wide or however it is, and some of those questions get asked in there. How do I quickly do this, or where do I find that form, or what should I put in my timesheet today for this? Which just causes noise in your space of work, and like I said, the answers get lost in the team structure of latest message. The rest just go. Whereas, like you said, in here you can upvote. So if there's something new and people are doing timesheets, let's say, and someone asks a question, what code should I put this on my timesheet? It gets upvoted, and then everyone can see that moving forward. And it runs on AI as well, so it will recommend questions that may be relevant to you in your place of work or your day of work. Brilliant. So Viva Amplify as well is another new aspect that's coming, and we're going to see in 2023. And this one looks really good, actually. It's not replacing anything for a start. It's bringing in the tools that we have of Outlook, of Teams, of SharePoint, of Engage, and so on. But it gives you a platform for pushing comms and creating comms campaigns within. And what I quite like is you can create templates, and when you publish things, other people can use it, and things like that. So it's a great centralized way of improving communications in organizations. And as we know, going from full face-to-face working to full remote working to now hybrid working, comms people have been chasing their tails a little bit of like, right, we're sending comms out this way. Oh, the whole way of everyone's working is completely changed. Now we need to look at modernizing how we communicate. So this is going to really help with that new ways of communicating.
Yeah, definitely. It will, it will solve in a part the chaos of communication, because we all know that inside an organization, some people will prefer Outlook and other people will prefer Teams and other people SharePoint, etc. So what is good with that is that if you want to give an information, you can post the same information in SharePoint, in Teams, Outlook, and Yammer. And then after, you will get some engagement metrics to see if the person receive your information and if the person react to your information. So it's another way to distribute information inside an organization. And the thing that you have all channels, all the 4 channels, Outlook, SharePoint, Teams, Yammer, I think it will really solve the chaos of communication, if there is a chaos of communication.
I think everyone's got chaos of communication out there. If they haven't, then I'd love to hear what they're doing. Okay, so moving on to the next piece that's coming out this year is People in Viva, and I'm really excited about this one because it's really helping with understanding your organization and what people do. And for newcomers into the organization, it's such a great tool for people to, they'll learn the structure, what people are responsible for, what people are working on, what OKRs they've got through Viva goals, and so on. So it's bringing all this information that we see into one space. So Laurent, you spoke about a bit earlier, the people cards and so on like that. Again, this is a way of surfacing that information. However, will require people's Active Directory to be correct.
Exactly. This is the main condition.
Yeah. We've already got I know it's not people in Teams, but we've got, like our organizational chart, and where you can click on a person in Teams and it gives you a bit of information and shows their LinkedIn and so on like that. Whereas this is taking it to that next level, it's giving us that next bit of information and bringing it all into that one space.
Yeah, definitely. And what is good in People, this new model, People, is that it is linked with Viva Topics. You can filter by Viva Topics, and it also linked with Viva Goals, and you can also filter with goals. So you have a whole place to search people by expertise or by goals or by location or by co-workers, etc., etc. So one more time, when I say this, I can imagine how many times I can gain. This is good, actually. Definitely.
One of the features that I really like about this is that you can filter by who is in the office.
Yeah.
So if you're, if you're going into work or into your office space, you can filter that. But also when you're looking at booking meetings with people, you're not searching through people's calendars for locations. You can think, right, I want to book a meeting with Megan. I'm going to see when she, can tick things and people from her team and so on like that. And you can see when they're in the office and when's a good time to probably arrange that meeting in face to face.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see how it knows that information. I haven't dug that deep into it yet, but I'm sure that there will be some conditions around. I don't know if it's going to be like location tagging or what it will be, or if it's set days people are in the office space. But it'll be interesting to see how it works when that does go live.
Yeah, definitely.
So this brings us to Viva Pulse. Again, another great way for engaging with people in your organization. And going way back to that first slide where we talked about different categories of Viva, hopefully you can see with what Microsoft's trying to achieve it is that, building that work culture, that workspace, and really driving that side of things. So Viva Pulse is a way of empowering managers to send out quick pulses across the organization to gather information around things. Send those quick questionnaires, one question questionnaires around certain things. How are people feeling today? Quick pulse out around well-being, to gather that information and get some insights into your organization.
Yeah, definitely. Viva Pulse for managers can be very good to gather feedback, but you have to send feedback.
Yeah.
I know this is not a simple thing. You have to trust your managers. It is always a question of trust, right? But my question behind Microsoft Viva Pulse is, what about Viva Insight for managers? Because I can see that this is linked, so I'm really waiting to see how different will be Viva Insight for managers and Viva Pulse.
Yeah, definitely, and that's the thing, is it? A lot of these new applications or new parts and releases around Viva link very nicely together, don't they? So it's a pulse into insights. I'm sure there'll be some information you can pull out through there. Spoke about engage and connections and amplify and so on. And it also just brings us to the last one we want to talk about today, which is Viva Glint. Glint's been around for a while now, and I believe I'll be happy to be corrected. I'm sure it was in 2018 Microsoft first acquired this, so I've had it some time, and it's been there in the background, a bit like how Microsoft acquired Yammer and Ali.io and so on. But now in 2023, they're announcing it's going to become part of the Viva stack. So it's going to give, again, more feedback around employees' well-being and empowering managers to get that feedback and so on.
Yeah, definitely. And one more time, the question will be how it is linked with Viva Insight, because in Viva Insight, you have also the organization part to take the pulse of well-being inside an organization. So I'm looking forward to see how it will have some bridge between Viva Insight organization and Glint.
Yeah, I think we can see from Glint, Pulse, and Insights, Microsoft have got to get some sort of link between those applications, because if they all sit separately and all not doing the same thing but kind of gathering the same information, it's going to be tricky, isn't it, of which one to use and when to use it. And we don't need that confusion when we have that already around some applications in 365. So it'd be great to see, it start to come together. And maybe these applications may become part of Insights. I don't know on that part.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end then, really, of our updates around Microsoft Viva. Hopefully you've seen some there you didn't know about, and giving you a bit of insight of what to come, and gives you that bit of excitement around Microsoft Viva. And I've managed to not even mention my thoughts around what the future holds for Viva and Microsoft Teams, but I'll leave that for another time and another discussion point. But from myself, thank you very much for joining us today. It'd be great to get some feedback on this, around some of these updates, and see what your thoughts are around what Microsoft Viva is doing for your organization and what you're excited about. So please do pop feedback into the comments below and keep the discussions going. But from me, have a great Christmas when it finally gets here, and enjoy the festivities.
Thank you.
Goodbye.